example of Daniel Ellsberg, the Pentagon Papers, who, to quote him or paraphrase him, if you could do something to stop this war, wouldn't you? And then flash forward to today with a kind of state of almost endless war that we live in America. What forces do you see as perhaps changing that or ending it in the world? Because me as a veteran, I don't really see anything changing the way we're fighting abroad in any of the wars. And I go home to America and I don't see anything like you saw at the end of the Vietnam War in terms of a movement to stop it.
Please ask your question as well.
My name is Francesca Segre, and I'm a student here at the LKY School of Public Policy. You have made a career out of speaking freely and exercising your freedom of speech. And I'm curious why you would choose to come to Singapore to teach or to speak or to make movies or whatever you intend to do here when Singapore is not a country known for its freedom of speech.
Those are old thoughts.
It's a more specific
Old school of
question.
thoughts.
I'm not judging Singapore. I don't know enough about Singapore, and I certainly understand the tenor of your question. I do understand the tenor of your question, but I'm here as for NYU, the School of the Arts at Tisch, and it's more of a cultural contribution. I'm trying to help them establish a worldwide. They're also in Abu Dhabi, which is also probably a repressive state. But they
Abu Dhabi.
have backing to make a university to which I think the student, there's 120 students here, 130 students from 25 countries. So it's not strictly a Singaporean institution. It's based here because it's a transient location that attracts people. There's a possibility to create a film culture. That's why I'm here. So I'm speaking here because, why am I speaking here? Because you got me here. on the surface disguise that this was a free public debate. I may be wrong. Maybe some of you are going to be carried away and changed. As to my speaking freely, I have to be honest and tell you that I'm trying to speak clearly. And I'm wrong sometimes, and I sometimes have censored myself and muffled myself. I don't always speak freely, and it's not easy to do that in my country, and sometimes you have to be very careful. Things come back to bite you. So believe me, I try to speak responsibly, although sometimes I've crossed the line. As to your question, sir, about we share a certain pessimism about change. I agree, but we're older. At least I am. You know, but the truth is, these moments of light do happen. I've seen it again and again in my life. You give up. You come from Vietnam. You see this horrible thing as a soldier. You come back. You retreat into your isolated self. And then all of a sudden the protest movement breaks out, and you see people who have the same issues that you have. So you join a movement. There's a collective strength in that, and an energy. And I did learn a lot in the 1970s, and the Watergate, the revolts against Nixon, from young people, other people who taught me. So by not closing off and becoming bitter, I think there's a possibility of change. The same thing happened in the 1980s, if you remember, when Reagan was coming down very hard on war, and the 1981, 2, 3, 4 were very dangerous times for the world. A lot of stuff that hasn't come out about Neil hasn't really made it out big time in the popular media, how close we came. But there was a revolt against Reagan, we all forget. There was a peace movement that started in Europe and America that was enormous. And again, there was hope. And actually, when Oliver North, that rat, got caught in the Nicaraguan scandal, there was hope, because all of a sudden Reagan's mandate changed radically in 1986, which was the year that Platoon came out, ironically. So there was a moment in time when the brakes were put on Reagan. All of a sudden, the old man, his wife, who knows, Gorbachev got to him in some way, and he kind of like, yeah, we can have peace in the world. Okay, the Soviets are not so bad, right? And it's not an evil empire. So there was a change in the world. We were on a course of war, no question. So again, the Berlin Wall fell. There was a wave of change. The course, George Bush Jr., Sr. and Clinton kind of drifted back into the Cold War ways, and then George Bush put the cherry on the top. But, you know, it may go back. There is a possibility that there will be another Gorbachev, another Khrushchev, another Kennedy. We must never give up that hope. And this WikiLeaks was a great boon to people such as myself who believe that the truth can only help us. And the WikiLeaks scandal, you know, I love the way the media came down on this song. I mean, they smeared them, and they all the usual stuff that they do. Those of us who've been around a long time recognize that from the Ellsberg case. The interesting thing, of course, is the Ellsberg case. Ellsberg was far more. It was called top secret. When he released was top secret. When Manning released was secret. So Ellsberg really violated it in a far deeper way. And look at him now. People laugh. You know, they admire him. Ellsberg finally got on the right side. He was on the right side of history, but now he's been more recognized. I hope one day that Julian Assange, and above all, Bradley Manning is freed. Or I don't think Bradley Manning is going to get out of it, but I do hope that WikiLeaks has changed the world already. I mean, what are we saying? There's so much that WikiLeaks has released that we haven't even absorbed yet. And I've heard so many stories from even from Venezuela and these stories, but also the Middle East. WikiLeaks has got some surprises ahead of us. And, you know, it may not make vast changes because the government ridicules it, but, you know, it does get out into consciousness. And change is possible. So let's root for WikiLeaks. If the WikiLeaks had been around in 2003, George Bush would never have pulled off his conspiracy to go to war in Iraq.
Let's have the last three questions.